In this video, I'll cover the most successful selling framework that I used from hardly getting by to successfully selling to qualified people in my online gut health coaching practice. The biggest problem that held me back was completely unintentional. It was rooted not in my selling ability, but in my selling intentions. After I stopped and shifted, everyone I hopped on a call with, at the end, they said they want to work with me. My first year of trying to get clients in is what I would call business survival mode. I was desperate to try and get people to work with me, and the more I tried to get people to work with me, the more people resisted working with me. How you want to convince your people is guaranteed to create the same list of objections depending on your approach. I was desperate to help people, so when I tried to convince them to come in and get help, they had the right amount of skepticism or they didn't care. This isn't a normal human response where you appear more stressed and anxious. You obviously don't want your doctor to look stressed and anxious when you're at a doctor's office and your doctor looks at your chart like they saw a ghost. That would obviously freak you out. People have similar responses when it comes to sales as well. The simple fact is that people don't want to be sold to. So the more you push, the more they'll pull. The change I made was my entire approach. I had to disconnect from the idea that I have to make sales or that people needed to work with me. The first call where you're trying to sell them isn't a sales call, but it's also not a coaching call. You're going to be more like a therapist. You want to help them, you're here for them, but your main goal isn't to get them to buy from you until you establish that they trust you and that your offer is good for them. So you must be stable and clear in all of your calls. And this is just step one. I also changed how I handle sales calls. The only way you're not sitting there trying to convince them is by taking a more passive approach. Like the therapist analogy, you're just basically asking the right questions. You're throwing in professional advice where it's needed, but you use that advice to build trust in different ways. For example, there may be moments where you reference people that you've worked with before who were in similar situations as them and the results that they've gotten. But it's intended to show the person where they could be in the time frame that you help people. The next part of the process that I want to cover is creating a framework that best suits your offer. With everything that I just covered, these are different types of questions that you want to ask during your sales calls. After you've started the first part of the call, you want to move into control questions. This is also about situational awareness. So you're asking them what is currently happening with them and why they reached out and asked for help. This allows you to see where they are at the moment, and the responses will most likely reflect their most surface level issues, which may or may not be the biggest problems that they're facing right now. Some people take longer to fully open up about what's going on with them, so that's why these are control questions, to dig deeper later in the call. It's good to always take notes as you're talking about this so you can jump back to these and dig deeper as you go. The next part is the pain point questions. This is immediately digging down into the biggest issues to double down on what they may or may not have said in the control questions. The important part of the pain questions is the person's perspective and awareness on what's holding them back from achieving some of the things that they want to achieve. So the pain questions could be something like, what are the main things that you feel like is holding you back from doing X, Y, and Z? You may know their real problem hearing what they just said, but this is not the time to hop in and coach them through their solutions. You can continue to talk about what they think is holding them back. How long has this been happening? Why do you think this one thing is holding you back? Awareness about why they feel a certain way is super important for objection handling because you can get them to logically convince themselves that today is the most important day that they want to start to change. A really important question you want to include is cost of inaction. What is that big problem costing them right now? What happens if they don't solve that problem in the future? The cost of inaction is about bringing awareness to the consequences of not working towards fixing that main problem. This is a really good tactic to make the prospect buy into your program. Or let's say for whatever reason, they weren't a good fit. You're still impacting this person to make changes or find solutions either way. The consequences of not taking action is why we do different things. One of the first couple daily actions that we take is brushing our teeth. Imagine if we weren't taught the consequences of not brushing our teeth, or if our teeth always stayed clean clean. We wouldn't brush. On the opposite end of the spectrum of pain questions, we want to ask desire questions. This is the best combination you can ask for in sales because you're asking about their hell and heaven. And this is where you can be a bridge between their hell to their heaven. You are going to be the solution. So your desire questions would be something like this. What is the ideal situation that you want to happen in the next 90 days for you? You always want to dig deeper, so always have follow-up questions for their answers. This is also called visualization in sales. You get them to visualize their desired outcome, which obviously puts anyone in a good mood. There are a couple of others you can add in, but this is a simple framework. Now you want to create a transition so that you can move to the pitch. You can go into an overview of how you help people without going overboard. You can split this up in different ways, but you can simply say, without going too deep, we like to achieve X, Y, and Z outcome in 3 main steps. Then you obviously go to the steps and you ended with, do you think that would help you get to the X, Y, and Z outcome? Then you would go to the pitch. Through everything you've covered, the majority of the call was just simply a call. You'll have to fill in the blanks for expanding this simple framework, but this is everything you need to run a sales call without sounding super salesy. I have more videos that cover sales if you want to check them out in this playlist. Thanks for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you found value, again, check out this playlist that I've created, which will teach you even more about marketing, sales, and offer creations as a health coach. See you in the next video.